Hello world, I'm Attila and today I will talk about the exponential organizations. And this was a book on how the companies in today's world reach a big market cap very fast and how they leverage technology and other things to have very little people in the work and how can they reach a big market share. So let's start with the definition of an exponential organization. So an exponential organization or EXO is one whose impact or output is disproportionately large, at least 10 times larger compared to its peers, because of the use of new organizational techniques that leverage accelerating technologies. And that highlights one of the biggest problems with my work with this book. I don't really want to talk about the bad stuff, but it used a lot of buzzwords. So, for example, exponential. If you know a little bit of math, you know that exponential does not mean that they leverage things. So I would say that the title of the book should have been leveraged organizations, but that doesn't sound as cool. So we live in a time of change by the internet. The old companies are disrupted by the new companies who use internet and who use algorithms and AI. The companies today reach a big market cap faster than ever before. And to demonstrate this, the book used this chart. So we can see the typical Fortune 500, how many years it took for them to reach a billion market cap. And then we see Google 8 years, Tesla 4 or 5 years, and Snapchat 1 or 2 years. So that's very fast. And that's because with technology, you can reach a big market fast. You only build a product once and you don't have to supply them and you don't have to create a physical product. It lives on the internet, and to reach additional market, you just have to rent a little bit more server space, which is easy to do with cloud computing. And it's difficult to predict exponential growth. And exponential growth is when you, for example, double your size every 1 year. So in the first year you are 1, the second year it's 2, the third year is 4, and in the fourth year it's 8. So if you miss by a year, so for example from the third to fourth is 8 to 16x your size, and that's a major difference. And that's why it's difficult to predict the growth of technological companies, or it's difficult to predict the technological adoption of a technology, because it's almost impossible to predict this exponential growth because it grows so fast. And technology is driving down costs. So, for example, with Google, you can access all the knowledge on the world for free. And I think it's undervalued. So very little people use this tremendous amount of knowledge that is available on the internet mostly for free. And then it talks about these leverages. And tech companies use technology as their leverage. So for example, Uber, let's take Uber. A typical taxi company will have a call center and they employ people in there. And you call the call center and they will send you a taxi. But with Uber, you tap on your mobile, and the algorithm will try to find the closest Uber driver next to you. So they don't have to employ a lot of people. They just have an algorithm that they use. And the crowd can be used as a leverage too. So for example, Amazon, you order products on Amazon, but you also review it for them. So they don't have to spend money on reviewing products and making recommendations like a typical shop does. Because the users do it for free for them. And social media can be used as a leverage too. So for example, Red Bull has a great marketing campaign. I think when they pay these extreme stunts to do stunts for them, and on the social media everyone just share these stunts, and people will Red Bull will raise awareness of the brand name. So for example, in 2012 a skydiver jumped from the stratosphere with a parachute, and he landed on Earth and he survived. So that was quite a stunt, and it was of course sponsored by Red Bull. And these exponential organizations have large dreams to attract talent. So Tesla is an obvious example, but for example TED, the slogan of TED is ideas worth spreading. So they attract talent because everyone wants to work there, because everyone heard these TED talks and how great they are. And the assets of large existing companies can turn into liabilities. So for example, let's take Blockbuster and Netflix. So Blockbuster had these thousands of physical stores in the US, and they saw that that's great, because then customers can reach them easily. And then Netflix came, and Netflix had no physical stores. They delivered CDs into everyone with the postal service, and then they created this online platform. And when Blockbuster wanted to create its own online platform where you can rent or watch movies, their physical stores turned into liability, because they just weren't able to lay off the staff so easily, and they weren't able to close so easily. And the book says that experts think that things cannot be done. Innovation comes from outsiders. So that's true in some extent. When you are an expert and you done business in one subject for a long time, you don't really see the innovation in it. So innovation comes from the outsiders who have a new perspective. However, I will always listen to the experts' opinion, because they really have a lot of knowledge that is valuable to me. And you should rent equipment instead of owning it, because you can get rid of them easily. So if you have a lot of assets, for example Blockbuster and their physical stores, it's very difficult to get rid of them for a good price, because were they to put all of their stores on Craigslist, they would never make a good money on that. So you can rent your equipment, but that doesn't really make financial sense for a long time, because if you use your equipment for a long time, then you will pay more for the rent. And but this book is largely focused on not the financials of a business, but how can they grow really fast. So this book was somewhat interesting, but it was terribly boring. There were some interesting points, but none of them were new. The second part of the book was how you can start an exponential business, an exponential organization, but I think it was almost an exact copy of a similar how to start how to start a business book. So you should absolutely never read this book. I think I made a good summary out of the interesting points. And if you would like to recommend me some better books that I can read, you can do it in the YouTube comment sections and on Twitter. You can reach me there. I will put my handle on the screen, and it's in the description. And also follow my podcast and subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I really value your opinion. And your support. So that's it for today. Thank you for coming in. Bye bye.